This is my mama's makeup and crochet channel.
Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a tutorial for another beach cover-up dress because I love making them, obviously. And this one is called the JELENA beach cover-up dress. A few months ago, I was looking for a beautiful stitch pattern that would make a good stripe or wavy look. And I came across this interlocking weave pattern. I did not use it for that particular project, but I saved it for later because I was already thinking at that time that it would be great for a beach cover-up dress. There are some tutorials for this pattern here on YouTube, and I will put the links of those videos in the description box so you may check them out if you're interested. I think I watched all of those 3 videos since they're all in my watch history. Anyway, I made a few changes to the pattern that you will see from those videos I mentioned earlier. Just a few details. Okay, so here, these are double crochets and these are single crochets. So we are going to alternate between sets of double crochets and single crochets. The ones I've seen before only have double crochets all throughout. Another change I did is the number of chains here. I only did 3 chains instead of 5 like the others because I like this part here to have a smaller hole or gap. Well, we will see more of that later in the tutorial, so you will know what I'm actually talking about. Anyway, you can check out those videos so you can see which one you'd prefer. So this design is made to measure. You can make the dimensions based on your own measurements. You just have to determine the length of the dress and the dress circumference, which is the measurement you think would fit you. As for me, I just based it on my bust measurement, and the dress still fit nicely around the hips because this interlocking weave pattern or design allows the dress to expand or stretch. I think that this beach cover-up dress would be a good project for your scrap yarns because here you can see that you may use a different yarn color for each row or section. You can just mix and match whatever yarns you have as long as they are all in the same yarn weight category. Anyway, this one that I'm showing right now is a dress. It's a mini dress. And I also made another one, which is just a top. For this top and this dress, I didn't exactly use scrap yarns, but I used these small yarn cakes. These are 8-ply hand-dyed cotton yarns, DK or light worsted weight. I've had them for a long time, but I love doing big projects, so I wasn't able to use them yet since each cake is only around 50 grams or less, not really enough for the projects I usually make. So this JELENA dress is perfect for them. I can use multiple cakes with different colors for this dress, and next time I think I would also visit my leftover yarn stash for this. Again, this design is made to measure. You can do this in any size you want, and you may use any yarn weight and type that you think is suitable for this project. You're free to choose the yarn since gauge is not really important here anyway. You can make this pattern based on your own measurements. I'm just going to mention the yarn I'm using for this tutorial just for your reference. For this tutorial, I will be using this yarn from the Attic Yarn and Craftery. This is from their Cotton Drops line, also 8-ply hand-dyed cotton yarn, and I will pair this with this Monaco cotton yarn. This one is not dyed, so this is the natural color of the cotton yarn, I guess. This is also 8-ply and DK or light worsted weight. For the dress that I'm making for this tutorial, I will just do the same size as this one. So I'm gonna need around 310 to 320 grams in total of DK weight cotton yarn. That's approximately 480 meters because that's what I've used up for this first dress. So if you're also going to use DK weight yarn, to give you an idea how much yarn you might need, these are the measurements of the dress. So if you will make a bigger size or a longer dress, you might need more than 480 meters of DK weight yarn. Anyway, here are the measurements of the dress I'm making for this tutorial. The length of the dress from the chest, so from here down to the bottom of the dress, is approximately 70 centimeters. So that's how long I'm going to make each row or section. Okay, but when worn, the dress sometimes gets a little shorter because it stretches out sideways, if that's the correct term. Anyway, please keep that in mind. Again, that is the length of the dress from the chest to the bottom. Okay, that's not including the strap. So from the shoulder to the chest, it's 15 centimeters. So the length of the strap, of course, from the front going to the back is 30 centimeters. For the width of the dress, so let's say this is the front of the dress, okay? And this is the chest area, right? If laid down flat like this, the width of the dress is 45 centimeters, so front and back. That means it's 90 centimeters around, right? Let's just call it the dress circumference. I'm so sorry, I'm not good with the technical terms, but I know that you get it. So again, this part right here is based on my bust measurement, 90 centimeters around. And it stretches out, so it still fits well around the hips. And later, I will explain further how to determine the number of rows we need to get our required measurement for the dress circumference. Anyway, those are the parts that we need to measure before we start working on our dress. And now let's move along. But first, aside from the yarn, these are the things we need. For the crochet hook, I will be using this 5mm tulip Etimo hook. Of course, we also need our yarn needle, scissors, and measuring tape. To begin, we will make a foundation chain as long as the length of the dress from the chest to the bottom, like what I have showed you earlier. And the number of chains should be a multiple of 8 plus 5. So we are going to crochet a multiple of 8 chains until we reach the length we need plus 5 extra chains. And for this dress, I need a foundation chain of approximately 70 centimeters. I actually already know how many chains I need since I already made the other dress. And to give you a tip, I started with 40 chains first, measured it, and found out it's still too short. So I made up to 80 chains and just kept adding more. And it turned out I actually needed 120 chains to reach approximately 70 centimeters. So that's 120, which is a multiple of 8, right? Plus 5 chains. So my foundation chain is a total of 125 chains. By the way, before your slip knot at the start of the foundation chain, don't forget to leave a tail long enough for the fringe at the bottom of the dress. So let's keep going and make our foundation chain first, and I'll meet you back here for the next step. I'm done with my foundation chain of approximately 70 centimeters, so 120 chains, which is a multiple of 8. And now I'm gonna do the extra 5 chains, which will then give us a total of 125 chains. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. To begin the row, we will make 1 single crochet into each of these 5 extra chains that we just did. So 1 single crochet into each of these first 5 chains from the hook. But first, we will chain 1, and this doesn't count as a stitch. Okay, we just have to chain first before we can make a single crochet into this chain right here. So we chain 1. Again, that doesn't count as a stitch, okay? So we will just skip that, and we make a single crochet into that now second chain from the hook. Okay, so single crochet into that second chain from the hook, and single crochet into the next chain as well. So that's 2. Okay, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that's our first set of single crochets. We chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and next we will be making a set of double crochets. So we will skip these 3 chains right here, skip those 3 stitches, and then we will make 1 double crochet into each of the next 5 stitches, starting with this one. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there you go. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 double crochets, and then we chain 3, and this part we will skip. Okay, so we will skip 3 chains, so 1, 2, 3, skip those, and into the next 5 stitches right there we will be making 1 single crochet into each of those 5 stitches. Okay, so 2, 3, 4, 5. So that is the pattern, right? So single crochets, double crochets, and single crochets again. Okay, so we will chain 3, and of course skip the next 3 chains right there. Okay, and after that, since we just did single crochets here, we will be doing double crochets next. Okay, so that's our pattern. 1, 2, 3, skip those, and then we make 1 double crochet into each of the next 5 stitches. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, again we will chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we will skip 1, 2, 3 chains right there, and into the next 5 stitches we will make single crochets. Okay, because right here we just did double crochets, so next we will be making 1 single crochet into each of the next 5 stitches. Okay, so 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So again, that is the pattern. Okay, it's alternating sets of double crochets and single crochets with 3 chains in between sets. Okay, so let's do another set. So we chain 3. All right, and then skip 1, 2, 3 chains right there, and since we just did single crochets here, we will be making 1 double crochet into each of the next 5 stitches. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Chain 3. After that, we skip 3 stitches here and single crochets. So basically, that is the pattern, okay? After the double crochets here, we chain 3, skip 3, and then followed by single crochets. And again, we chain 3 and skip 3 stitches and then double crochets. So alternating single and double crochet sets. So we will just keep repeating that pattern until the end of the row. And I will meet you here when we only have a few stitches left to make. And we are almost at the end of the row. Here we just did single crochets. Okay, a set of single crochets. And now we chain 3. So 1, 2, 3, and then we skip 3 stitches here. Okay, And since we just did single crochets here, our next set should be double crochets. Skip 3 chains and 1 double crochet into each of the next 5 stitches. By the way, if your foundation chain doesn't have the same number of stitches as mine, there's a chance that your last set here are single crochets instead of double crochets. And it's okay, of course, don't worry about that. As long as you did the alternating of the single and double crochet sets right, okay? Because here, if I actually did 128 as the multiple of 8 plus 5 chains instead of 120 plus 5, my row would end with a set of single crochets. Same would happen if I did only 112 plus 5. My last set would also be single crochets instead of double crochets. So it would depend on what multiple of 8 plus 5 chains you have for your foundation chain. Okay? Now we chain 1 and pull the yarn to close the row. And then we cut the tail to the length that should be long enough for the fringe. And we are done with our first section or strip or whatever you want to call it. But for this video, let's just call it maybe row, okay? So we're done with our first row and we will be making more of this to make the dress. For the next row, I'm going to use the red yarn. So we have to leave a tail long enough for the fringe. Right now, it's okay if they're not all the same length. We can just trim them later. And now we make our foundation chain. Okay, so there's the slip knot. And again, my foundation chain is 120 plus 5 chains. So I'll just keep working on that and I'll see you in a bit. Alright, so I already have 120 chains. So plus 5, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that is our foundation chain. Okay, so let's check out the first row that we did. As you can see here, we started with a set of single crochets first. But for the second row, we will instead start with a set of double crochets. So this is how we will always begin the row. If the previous row started with a set of single crochets, the row after that will start with a set of double crochets and vice versa. Okay, so our third row will then start with single crochets again like row number 1. Row number 4 will start with double crochets, row 5 with single crochets, and so on. Basically, just alternating single and double crochet sets as well in the beginning of the rows. Moving on, we will now make our first double crochet. So we chain 2, and that counts as a double crochet on top of that chain right there. Okay, and then our next double crochet will then be into that 4th chain from the hook. Because remember, these 2 chains count as a double crochet on top of that chain right there, which is the 125th chain of our foundation chain. Okay, so now let's make our second double crochet into that 4th chain from the hook. And a double crochet also into that next stitch. So that's 3. And double crochet into the next stitch. That's 4. And 5. And that's the first set of double crochets for this second row. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and as per our pattern, we will chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we will skip 3 stitches here. And because we did double crochets here, the next set will be single crochets. But first, we have to connect this new row to the previous one. They have to be interlocked or linked together. That's why it's called interlocking weave stitch. To do that, by the way, we have to pay close attention on the small details of this process or pattern so that all our links will look neat and in order. We have the first row here that has single crochets in the beginning of the row. Take note that a set of single crochets always goes over or on top of a set of double crochets, and we will see more of that as we continue. So again, the double crochet set goes under, okay? And now we have our foundation chain here, and of course we will be doing single crochets next. So the chain should now go over this set of double crochets here. Okay, remember, double crochets should be under, and since we are doing single crochets next, this chain should be over that set of double crochets. And now we continue with the pattern. We already chained 3, so now we skip 3 stitches on the foundation chain, and we will make 1 single crochet into each of the next 5 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's our first set of single crochets for this row. And here you can already see how the connection looks like. So we continue. We chain 3, and take note, here we have single crochets, and also here we just did single crochets as well. So of course our next set will be double crochets, okay? And since we have single crochets here and we will be making double crochets next, this foundation chain should be under that set of single crochets, because remember, the double crochet set always goes under the single crochet set. Let's continue. We already chained 3. Now we skip 3 chains on the foundation chain. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, and starting with this stitch right here, we will make 1 double crochet into each of the next 5 stitches. And we have to do that here on the other side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And that's another set of double crochets for this row. And we chain 3. Right now, I think we can clearly see the beauty of the pattern details taking form. Like that. Okay? So again, we have double crochets here. It kind of go under that set of single crochets, and now we have single crochets here. It's over the double crochet set, and again here double crochets. It's under this set of single crochets. And I'm sure that you already know what we're going to do next. Since we have double crochets here and also double crochets here, so obviously we are going to do single crochets next. And we have to get our foundation chain over this set of double crochets. And to do that, we have to pull out the foundation chain from under there. Okay, and now it's here over this double crochet set. By the way, we can just weave this foundation chain in and out of this previous row all the way to the end. We don't have to do it one set at a time like the way that we're doing earlier. When we start each row, we can weave the foundation chain in and out of the previous row all the way to the end. I just wanted to clearly demonstrate to you first how the pattern goes, how the links should be done, where the foundation chain should go. That's why I did just one set at a time first. I usually weave the entire foundation chain in the beginning of the row, but it's up to you if you want to do it all at once or just one set at a time. So let's weave this foundation chain up to the end of the row. Okay, so we have double crochets here, so the chain should go over that, right? And now we have single crochets here. We have to get the chain under that set of single crochets. Okay, and now we have double crochets again here. Let's pull that chain from under there, and it has to go over the set of double crochets. Okay, and now single crochets again, so it has to go under that set of single crochets. So basically, again, it's alternating. Okay, so just over, under, whenever you see double crochets, the chain should be over that set of double crochets. And now we have here again single crochets, so we have to get this foundation chain under that, double crochets next, so the chain should be over. Anyway, we just have to keep doing this pattern until the end of the row. Okay, and now we're almost at the end of the row. So anyway, it's simple as that. You just have to make sure that you are going the right way. You don't get the chain twisted or get wrapped around the other row. So as easy as that, right? And you can clearly see the pattern, and you can always double check. It's easy to spot a mistake if you made one anyway. Okay, so let's have a closer look. Okay, so again, if it's a set of double crochets, the chain should be over that set of double crochets. And then if single crochets, we have the chain under. Okay, so that's what you have to remember if you want to weave in the foundation chain all the way to the end of the previous row. If you want to do all of that first, get that task done right away, so that's an option, right? And that's what I actually do, so I can just crochet continuously. Okay, so let's go back here and continue working on our row 2. So we have here double crochets and we have double crochets here. So obviously our next set will be single crochets. So we have 3 chains already done. And this is the stitch where we have the last double crochet of the set. And then we skip 3 stitches. And then we will make 1 single crochet into each of the next 5 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Again, take note that this single crochet set is over or on top of that double crochet set. Okay, so again we chain 3, and after a set of single crochets, we will make a set of double crochets next. Of course, we will have that under the set of single crochets, and we even already have the foundation chain in the right place. Okay, so skip 3 stitches here, 1, 2, 3, and we move to the other side and make 1 double crochet into each of the next 5 stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we continue. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3. We will make 1 or 2 more sets, but basically this is the pattern that we will keep repeating until the end of the row. So right after double crochets and on top of that double crochet set, of course we will be making single crochets next. So there is the stitch where we have the last double crochet of the set. So we skip 3 stitches and we make 1 single crochet into each of the next 5 stitches. Okay, so that's 3, 4, 5. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, we chain 3, and after these single crochets and under that single crochet set right there, we will be making double crochets next. Okay, so there's the stitch where we have the last single crochet of the set, so we skip the next 3 stitches after that, 1, 2, 3, and we make 1 double crochet into each of the next 5 stitches, starting with this one. We move this chain to the other side and we will be working there. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's another set of double crochets. Okay, so we chain 3, So basically, this is the pattern that we will be repeating until we reach the end of the row. So let's do it one more time. So again, we have double crochets here, double crochets here. So of course, we will be making single crochets next. Okay, so we have this stitch where we have the last double crochet of the set, skip 3 stitches, and then we make 1 single crochet into each of the next 5 stitches. I'm sure by now you have mastered this pattern, but in case you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we chain 3. So we will keep repeating this pattern until we reach the end of the row, and I'll see you when we only have a few stitches left to make. Okay, so I will see you in a bit. We're almost at the end of our second row. Okay, so we just did double crochets here, so we chain 3, and then okay, so the foundation chain came off, so we have here a set of double crochets. So of course our chain should be over or on top of that set of double crochets. Okay, so again, after double crochets and over that set of double crochets should be single crochets. Okay, so we skip 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and then we make 1 single crochet into each of the next 5 stitches. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right there, and that is the end of row 2. Okay, right there. So we chain 1 and pull the yarn up. Okay, tighten it a little bit, and to cut the yarn I just need to check that it's as long as this end tail from the first row. Okay, I just need to know that it's long enough for the fringe as well. Okay, it doesn't have to be accurate, okay, but it's just a guide right there. So don't worry about them getting separated like that, because we will be tying them together. Okay, so to do that, the beginning tail there for the second row or the second color right there, we will tie that beginning tail to the end tail of the previous row. Okay, so we're just gonna tie them together, just not too close here, so the 2 rows won't look too tight together at the bottom of the dress, so they can still open like that. So let's tie them together. Just a simple knot. I looked it up. I think it's called the overhand bend or European death knot. Again, not too close to this part, the start of the tail. Okay, so they can still open like that. You can tie the tails together every time you finish a row, or you can do them all later when the dress is done, like I did with the previous dress I made. But anyway, this time I think I'll be doing it after each row. And that is the end of row 2. Let's do one more, just one more row. Of course, it's the same pattern. It's the same thing that we did with row 2. I just want to show you the process one more time. I'll just get my yarn and we will start again with another foundation chain. You may use more than 2 colors or just one. It's up to you. Right now, I'll just go back to the first color I used because I'm only using 2 colors this time. Okay, let's make the foundation chain. I'm just gonna use this end tail from the previous row as a guide for this new one. Okay, time to make a slip knot. Then let's continue with the foundation chain. Again, mine will have 120 plus 5 chains. So let's keep working on the foundation chain, and I'll see you in a short while. I'm done with my foundation chain, and I have here 120 plus 5 chains for a total of 125 chains. This is now row 3. Of course, the pattern is basically the same as row 2. I mean, it's the same with every row except for the beginning. Because with row 2, we started with the set of double crochets, but with row 3, we will begin with the set of single crochets instead. They have to be alternating, right? Alternating them here in the beginning, of course, the rest will follow. So even number rows, rows 2, 4, 6, and so on, start with the set of double crochets. Odd number rows begin with single crochets. Since we are at row number 3, odd number row, we will begin with 1 single crochet into each of these first 5 stitches. We chain 1, and that doesn't count as a stitch, so we will skip that extra chain and we will make a single crochet into that now second chain from the hook. Single crochet and a single crochet also into that next stitch, so that's 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're done with our first set of single crochets for this row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we chain 3. And again, single crochets go on top of double crochets. Okay, so right there. And this foundation chain, okay, we have to get it through that space so that it will go under this set of single crochets. Okay, so through there. Okay, and now we are ready to continue with the pattern. Okay, so since we just did single crochets, we will be making double crochets next. So this is the stitch where we have the last single crochet of the set. We skip the next 3 chains and we make 1 double crochet into each of the next 5 stitches, starting with this one, and we will be doing that on the other side because this double crochet set that we're making should be under this set of single crochets. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's the first set of double crochets for row 3 there. Okay, so let's continue. Okay, so next we chain 3, and this time our foundation chain should go over this set of double crochets. So let's get it over here through that space. Okay, let's get it from under there. And now we will be making single crochets into that foundation chain. Okay, so let's continue. Here is the last stitch that we worked on. Okay, and then we skip 3 stitches, and then we will make 1 single crochet into each of the next 5 stitches. So that's 3, 4, 5 there. So far this is how it looks like. Next we chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and since we have here a set of single crochets, the foundation chain should go behind or under it. Okay, so let's get it through this space here. And like I've said before, we can do this weaving in and out those spaces of the previous row, 1 set at a time while we're working on this row, like what we are doing now. Or we could go ahead and weave this foundation chain all the way to the end of the row. Okay, so let's try and do that now. Again, this chain here is under that single crochet set, here over this double crochet set, and now it should go under. Again, this is just another option, okay? Of course, it's your choice if you want to do this all the way to the end of the row upon starting a new one. I just do this most of the time so I can crochet continuously throughout the row. Okay, so now we have double crochets here, so the chain should be over that set. And now we have single crochets here, so chain should be under that. And now again double crochets. Okay, so anyway, I know you know the pattern, so let's just keep going until we reach the end of the row. So there you go, we are done with weaving the foundation chain in and out of that previous row. And now we can continue working on row 3. Okay, let's go back to this part where we already did 3 chains. And of course, we will be following the same pattern. So we have here single crochets and single crochets also here. So of course, we will be making double crochets next. Right there behind that single crochet set. And here's the stitch that we last worked on. We skip the next 3 stitches. Let's pull this chain here to the back a little. And we make a double crochet into each of the next 5 stitches. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5. Right there. So we continue. We chain 3. And since we have double crochets here and double crochets here, we will be making single crochets next. So here is the stitch where we have that last double crochet of the set. We skip 3 chains and we make 1 single crochet into each of the next 5 stitches. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we chain 3. And of course, after these single crochets here and behind that set of single crochets there, we make double crochets next, okay? So we just continue with this pattern until we reach the end of the row. Again, it's just alternating single and double crochet sets. Okay, let's keep working and I'll see you when we get to this part. So we're almost at the end of row 3. And we have here single crochets, so our foundation chain should be under that, okay? And we also just did single crochets here, and of course under that set of single crochets we should be doing double crochets next. And we already chained 3. We skip 3 stitches here, 1, 2, 3. Let's move this to the other side. And we will be making 1 double crochet into each of the next 5 stitches. So there's 2, 3, 4, 5. And to close the row, we just make a chain, pull the yarn, and we will leave a tail long enough for our fringe, okay? Let's just use this end tail from the previous row as a guide. And that is the end of row 3. We're gonna tie the end tail of the previous row and the beginning tail of the row we've just finished. Again, it's just a simple knot called the overhand bend or the European death knot, if I'm not mistaken. Like what we did earlier, don't make it too close to the top or start of the fringe, so there would still be enough space between the rows, so they could still open like that. Anyway, you can tie these tails each time you end a row, or you can do all of them later once you're done with the dress. It's up to you. Right now, even if we still only have 3 rows, we can already see the beauty of this pattern. But of course, we will appreciate it more as this project gets bigger. Anyway, it's just a 2-row repeat. We will just be repeating rows 2 to 3. So next row, which is row 4, will just be a repeat of row 2. Row 5 will just be a repeat of row 3, and so on. Okay, we will just keep repeating rows 2 to 3 until we have enough rows for the size we need. If you get a little confused, you can just go back to the part of the video where we have the tutorial for row 2 or 3. I will just make one more row off camera, and I'll come back here in a bit to show you how to easily determine how many rows you will need for your project based on your measurements. Okay, so I'll see you then. I'm back, and now I have 4 rows here, and we will try to determine how many rows we will need for our project. By the way, it doesn't have to be exactly 4 rows. You may have more if you want. Anyway, you will see what I mean in a little bit. We will be connecting these rows together on this part. This will be the top of the dress, okay? So we will crochet them together, and in between rows, we will leave a little space so they will open up a bit when the dress is worn, so we can clearly see the details of this pattern. We will make a row of single crochets along the top of the rows to connect them together on that part. We will do the whole thing later when we have all the rows done, and we will also do the straps later, okay? But for now, I'm just going to do it with these 4 rows just to show you how to determine the number of rows we need for the project. So right now, let's do that, and we have here already a slip knot, okay? And here on this first row, we will make 1 single crochet, a standing single crochet, like that. That's how you make a standing single crochet, okay? And then we chain 1 there. And by the way, I'm just doing the stitches loosely, okay? And into that double crochet, we make 2 single crochets right there, and then we chain 1, and then into that single crochet row right there, we make 1 single crochet, and we chain 1, and again into that double crochet we will make 2 single crochets, and then we chain 1. And again, if you have more than 4 rows, that's fine also, but I think this here is also sufficient enough for us to be able to determine how many rows we need for this project. As mentioned earlier, the width of the dress that I'm making is 45 centimeters or 90 centimeters around. So let's see how many rows I need to make 90 centimeters long. Please take note that my measurement here might be different from yours, especially if we don't have the same yarn weight or hook size. And even if we are using the same hook size or yarn, we might still have different measurements because of the difference in our tension. Time to measure this. Okay, we have here approximately 7.5 centimeters for this length that we have here so far, okay? So that's 7.5 centimeters for 4 rows. And I need to reach 90 centimeters, which is my required dress circumference. As I've shown you earlier, that's based on my own measurement. So let's do a little computation, okay? Let's see how many 7.5 centimeters I need to reach 90 centimeters. So to know that, let's divide 90 by 7.5. So 90 divided by 7.5 is 12. So I need 12 of this length that's made up of 4 rows to finish my dress. Therefore, I need 12 times 4 rows, which is 48 rows. So I need to make a total of 48 rows. I have 4 already done so far, and I still need to make 44 rows. Again, this could be different for everyone. This is just a guide for you to easily know how many rows you might need. If you have a different way to get the number of rows needed, that's fine also. If you want to keep making more rows first, then just keep on trying it on yourself to see if you have enough rows. That's also another way. Whatever you think is easier or good for you, go for it. Take note that if your measurement doesn't give you a whole number for your rows when you make your computation, that's fine. You can just round it off. Like if mine, for example, is not 90 centimeters, but let's say 95 centimeters instead. If I divide that by 7.5 centimeters, it will be 12.67, and multiply that by 4 rows, it will give me 50.68 rows, which I will just round off to 51 rows. But one more thing, take note of this as well. We actually want equal number of rows for the front and the back of the dress. Okay, so like when we lay our dress flat, we want the front and the back to have the same number of rows. And for us to get that, our total number of rows for the dress should be an even number. Okay, so with the example I mentioned earlier, 51 rows, I'll either make it just 50 rows or 52 rows. So if after your computation you ended up with an odd number of rows, let's say 45, you can make it either 44 rows or 46 rows. Remember, it should be an even number. Again, this is just based on my own measurement, but you can use this guide and simple computation to determine how many rows you need to make. And for me, 4 rows make approximately 7.5 centimeters, so I need 12 times of that length to reach 90 centimeters. That's why I need 48 rows in total. Okay, I'll continue making more rows off camera, and I'll be back to finish the last row and show you how to connect it to the first row. We are going to join as we crochet. Okay, so we're going to do the last row while also joining it to the first row. So once you already know how many rows you need, just continue making more rows, and I'll meet you back here later when we are about to make our last row, and we will do that last one together. I'll see you then. I'm back and I'm done with the second to the last row, which is for me is row 47. So this is row 47, and I'll be connecting this to the very first row that we did, this one here, while making row 48. So the last row, which is row 48, will be between row 1 and row 47. Again, this is the first row here, and this is row 47. Okay, and we will connect them together like that. But we have to know first which side is the correct or the right side. So this is the correct side right here. So right side out, okay? And let's do it like that. Okay, so this is the wrong side here, and that would be inside the dress. Okay, that would be inside the dress. So here we have row 1, and this is row 47. Okay, so we will connect them like so, while we are making row 48 between them. I think it will be harder to show you the next steps if this is our background, so I'm going to use this cardboard here. Okay, so we will have a clear and plain background. So again, this is row 47 right here. All right, this is row 47, and this is row 1. And we will be making our last row while joining these 2 rows together. So to begin our last row, same as the other rows before, we will first make a foundation chain. For my last row, I will switch again to the red yarn. Okay, so let's make our foundation chain, and I'll see you in a bit. And here is my foundation chain for the last row. Again, multiple of 8 plus 5, and mine is 120 plus 5, so a total of 125 chains. With row 47, which is an odd number row, we started with a set of single crochets. So for row 48, which is an even number row, we will start with double crochets. So same pattern with row 2. Okay, so we should make a double crochet on top of that first chain from the hook. But instead, we will just chain 2. Okay, and that counts as a double crochet on top of that now third chain from the hook. And to make our next double crochet, we will do that into that now fourth chain from the hook. Okay, so double crochet. So including this first one right here, that counts as a double crochet. That's 1 and 2. And now we will make 3 more here. So 1 into each of the next 3 stitches, okay? So again, we already have 2. So this is 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that's our first set of double crochets for row 48. And after that, what we usually do is to chain 3, right? Like this. But for this last row, we are going to do something different, which I will demonstrate in a bit. First, we have to weave this foundation chain in and out of the previous row, which I'm sure that by now you can already do in your sleep since we're already on our last row. Anyway, we have double crochets here. So our foundation chain should be coming from under, okay, because that set of double crochets should be under that set of single crochets from row 47. So again, our foundation chain should be coming from under there and should be on top of this set of double crochets here, like that. And now it should be under that set of single crochets. And now we have a set of double crochets next, and the chain should be on top of that. Anyway, let's keep doing that until we reach the end of the row, and I'll see you after that. Right now, as you can see, this last row that we're making is automatically connected to the previous one, which is row 47, but it's not yet connected to row 1, to this first row right here. So what we have to do here is connect that to the first row. Okay, and to do that, I will show you this part here first, okay? So with this last row that we are making, the first set that we have here a double crochet set. And a double crochet set goes under a single crochet set. So it should be like that. And a single crochet set go on top of double crochets, like that. So it should be the same with this connection to the first row. So based on that pattern, these 3 chains here that should connect these 2 rows together should go from under there and then would go over those 3 chains from row 1. And then we make our single crochets here, okay? But actually we can't do exactly that because this working yarn right here will get in the way. Ideally, right after we chain 3 and make that link or connection to the first row, we proceed to make the single crochet set here. But of course, that is not possible because this working yarn will also have to go through those spaces each time we make a connection. And that's not gonna work, okay? So we just have to find a way that we can make it look like we have 3 chains from this last row linked to the 3 chains from the first row. So we have to make it look like there are 3 chains going from under and then over those 3 chains from the first row. Like there's a connection that looks exactly like that. So that is our goal, okay? And that's what we're going to do next. Okay, so let's do this. Here we have a set of double crochets, and again, a set of double crochets goes under a set of single crochets. So our chain should be coming from under there, okay, and then going over there. It should look like that. The chain connection, like I've shown you earlier. But since we can't exactly make 3 chains go through that space, this is what we're going to do. So we chain 1 first, okay, and then we will let go of that loop. And then we make it go from under there and through that space, like that. Because remember, that's what we want it to look like. Okay, so coming from under there and then going over those 3 chains from the first row. So we're just going to pick up this loop. Okay, well, it's going through that space right there. Okay, so let's get that hook back into that loop. All right, and then we will make our second chain around those 3 chains from the first row, okay, to make a connection. So we chain around that. Okay, so that's our second chain, and then we chain another one, so that's our third chain. So we have our 3 chains completed. Let me just take this hook away for now so I can show you clearly. So I want to show you how it looks like. So right there, like I said, we want to give the illusion that there are 3 chains going from under there and then over those 3 chains from the first row. And I guess we were able to do that with this trick. So anyway, we will continue now that our last row is somewhat connected to the first row. And here we will be making a set of single crochets. So again, we have here double crochets, so it should be followed by single crochets next. And here is the stitch that we worked on last, and we skip 3 stitches, and we will make 1 single crochet into each of the next 5 stitches. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And next we will make another connection, chain link to the first row, but this time it will be a little different. Okay, so instead of going from under there and then over, we will start from above and then go through that space and then under. Okay, because this is a set of single crochets. So here's a guide. Remember this: when it's a set of double crochets like that, the chain after that will be coming from under and then going over. Okay, let me show you again. So it should be from under going over like that when we're making a chain connection after a set of double crochets. But when it's after a set of single crochets like that, the chain link should be over going under. Okay, so coming from above through that space and then out from under there like that. Okay, so let me show you. So again, it's going to be coming from above, going through that space and then out from under. So let's do that. So we chain 1 and we insert our hook into that chain space right there, and then we will make our second chain around those 3 chains from the first row. Okay, so that's our second chain. But before we make our third chain, we will let go of our loop for now, and then we will make that loop go through that space and out from under there like that. It should come out from there. Okay, and now we will pick up the loop right there on the other side and we continue with our third chain. And now we have that connection again between the last row and the first row. And I hope that it looks like there are 3 chains going over here through that space and out from under there. Okay, like that. So we just did a set of single crochets here. So again, right after that we will be making double crochets next. Okay, so we will do that here on the other side behind that single crochet set. Okay, and here is the stitch that we last worked on, and after that skip 3 stitches, and then we will do our work here on the other side. So 1 double crochet into each of the next 5 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, So we are done with our set of double crochets. So remember the pattern. The chain connection right after a set of double crochets should be coming from under and then going over. Okay, the chain link between these two rows should be coming from under, like that, and then going over those 3 chains from the first row. So that's what we're going to do next, okay? But if it's after a single crochet set, it's not from under going over, okay? It should start from above, so it's from the top going through that space and out from under there, okay? So let's continue. Again, to make a connection between the first and last row, we chain 1. All right, chain 1. And we have to make it look like this chain is going around those 3 chains from the first row from under, okay, and going over. So we let go of that loop, insert our hook into that space, and pick up that loop again, okay? And now we are going to make our second chain around those 3 chains from row 1. So we chain. Okay, that's our second chain, and then we make 1 more, and that's our third chain. So that chain link around those chains from the first row looks like it's from under going over. Okay, and then we continue. We will make a set of single crochets next. So this is the last stitch that we worked on. We skip 3, and then we make 1 single crochet into each of the next 5 stitches. So 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, we have to make a connection here, and based on our pattern, after a set of single crochets, our chain connection should be coming from above, so over and then going out from under there. Okay, so we chain 1, and to make it look like there's a chain connection going over there, we will make our second chain around those 3 chains from row 1. Okay, so to do that, insert hook into that space right there, grab yarn, and pull through that loop on the hook. And then we will let go of that loop, make it go through there, under and out the other side. Okay, like that. And here we will pick up that loop and then make a chain. Okay, and that is the third chain for this link. And as you can see, it looks like our chain connection is going from over there and then coming out from under. Okay, like that. So let's continue. After a set of single crochets, we will be making double crochets next. Right here, okay? And this is the stitch that we last worked on. We skip 3 stitches after that. And then we will be making 1 double crochet into each of the next 5 stitches. Okay, starting with this one right here. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so let's do one more join on camera, okay? I will show you this chain link one more time. So again, always remember, after a set of double crochets, the chain link following that should go through that space right there from under, okay? So let me show you one more time. So it should be coming from there and then going over those 3 chains from row 1. Okay, so we chain 1. And to make it look like it's passing through that space from under there, we let go of the loop insert our hook into that space and pick up the loop like that. And then we will make our second chain around those 3 chains from row 1. Okay, so we make a chain. Okay, so this is our second chain for this link. Okay, and then we make another one. Okay, so one more chain, and this is our third chain, and our chain link is done. Again, this is how we do the last row, and we are going to continue this pattern until the end of the row. Always remember that after a set of double crochets, the chain link should start from the bottom or from under going over. And if it's after a set of single crochets, the chain link should come from above through the space and out from under those 3 chains from row 1. Okay, let's continue doing our last row, and if you get a little confused, you can always come back to this part of the tutorial. Let's keep going, and I'll see you at the end of this row. And we're down to our last chain connection to be made. We only have a few stitches left for this row. We just finished a set of double crochets, so the chain connection after that should be from the bottom or under there going over. So that's how it should be here with the foundation chain. It should go from under there and then over like that. And it should also be the same here on this other side. The chain link there should be coming from under through the space and over. Let's do that one last time. So we chain 1. Okay, and then to make our second chain, we let go of our loop and insert our hook into that space, so we can pick up that loop from under there and make it go through that space. Okay, so let's pick up the loop again, and then we will make our second chain around those 3 chains from row 1 to make the connection. So that's our second chain, and then we make one more. So this is our third chain. And we are done with our last chain link. Then we continue with our single crochets. So here we just did double crochets. Of course, it should be followed by single crochets next. And this is the stitch that we last worked on. We skip 3 stitches and then we make 1 single crochet into each of the next 5 stitches. Okay, so that's 3, 4, 5. And to close the row, we chain 1, pull up the yarn, and then we cut the yarn. Okay, I'm just gonna get this end tail from the previous row as a guide so that we are sure that our tail here is long enough for the fringe. So right there. Okay, and then we cut the yarn. And that is the end of the last row. Okay, I'm just going to tie this beginning tail from the last row and this end tail from the previous row together for the fringe. And we are just going to do again the European death knot or overhand bend. There you go. And now this end tail from our last row, we will tie that together with this beginning tail from our very first row. And again, it's just a simple knot. This is the overhand bend or European death knot. And we are done with our fringe. We can trim that later if necessary. So here is our last row. I think it looks like a regular row even with that hidden trick that we did so that we can connect it to the first row. And we are done with the main part or body of the dress. Now we will move on to the top part of the dress. Now we will be working on this part of the dress. Remember what we did to determine how many rows we needed? We made a single crochet row along the top of the rows. I showed that to you earlier with only 4 rows. So that's what we are going to do now. But this time we are going to do that all the way around with all 48 rows. Okay, so we have 48 rows, right? So the front of the dress will have 24 rows. And the back of the dress, this is the back of the dress, okay, would also have 24 rows. Okay, so we will start here on the side of the dress. I think I'll be starting on the back part of the dress. So this will be the back of the dress for me. Okay, so mine has the same colors on both the back and the front of the dress, so it won't matter where I start. But if your dress has different yarn colors on the back and the front, find your preferred side of the dress for the back, and that's where you need to start, okay? So we will start on this first row right here, and this will be on the side of the dress. So we are ready to make a single crochet row border along the top of the rows and also the straps. I'm going to use this cream or off-white yarn that I used on the body of the dress, but of course you may use a different color yarn, whether it's a new yarn color that you're using just for the border and straps or already used on the body of the dress. That's up to you. Okay, so make a slip knot and don't forget to leave a long tail for weaving in later. This is going to be on the side part of the dress, and this is our first row, and we have a slip knot on our hook, so we will be making a standing single crochet into that stitch. So insert our hook into that stitch, grab yarn and pull up a loop, grab yarn and pull through both loops on the hook, and that is called a standing single crochet. And then we chain 1 after that. And on to the next row. So the first row is a single crochet row, and we only did 1 single crochet on top of that. On this second row we have double crochet, so we will make 2 single crochets into that stitch. Okay, so 1 and 2. All right, and then after that we chain 1. Okay, and into the next row. So again, this is a single crochet row, so we only make 1 single crochet into that stitch. Okay, there, and then we chain 1. So as you can see, the pattern goes like this. Okay, so if we have a double crochet row like this, we make 2 single crochets into that stitch. Okay, so 2. All right, and if it's say a single crochet row, so again we chain 1, and into that single crochet row we make just 1 single crochet on top of that row, okay, into that stitch. Okay, so 1 single crochet, and then we chain 1 again. Okay, and here we have another double crochet row. Okay, so we make 2 single crochets into that stitch. Okay, so 1, 2. Okay, and then we chain 1 again. So we will just continue with this pattern. So again, it's as simple as that. 1 single crochet into a single crochet row. Okay, so if we have a single crochet row, we only make 1 single crochet on top of that row, and then we chain 1, and then into a double crochet row we make 2 single crochets, and then we chain 1. We will continue with this pattern until we finish the back part of the dress. So for this dress I'm making, that's after 24 rows, so half of the total number of rows for the dress. And as I've mentioned earlier, we are doing the single crochet row or border along the back of the dress first. Okay, so let's come back here when we are done with this single crochet row on the back part of the dress, and then we will first mark the spots where we are going to attach the straps. I'm done with the single crochet border along the back part of the dress. So 24 rows, that's half of the dress, and when measured,
It's approximately 45 centimeters, which is right for the size I need because I need 90 centimeters around, like I've mentioned earlier. This goes a little over 45 centimeters when stretched, so there's a little allowance. Now let's check where we have to place the markers for the straps later. First, let's find the center. Okay, so 24 rows, so half of that is 12. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So 12 rows. So this is our center right here, this chain space. Okay, so the other half should also have 12 rows. So let's count. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Okay, so this is the center of the back part of the dress. I took the measurement for the neckline. Of course, this is on the back, but this is going to be the same measurement on the front anyway, okay? We are just doing the back first. So I measured how far apart I want the straps to be, and I got 20 centimeters. So from the center, 10 centimeters to the right, and that's where we will have our first strap. Okay, so same thing on the other half. So from the center to the left, 10 centimeters. Okay, so let's just count how many rows. Okay, so from the center, let's see, this is 10 centimeters. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. From the center to the left, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows also. And we are going to attach the straps here in line of these 2 rows that I'm holding right now. And to check the measurement, we have approximately 20 centimeters distance between the spots where we will have the straps. Okay, let's place the markers. This is where the first strap will go. And this is where the second strap will go. There you go. And now we have to count the rows outside of the 2 markers. So on this side, let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 rows right after that row with the marker. Okay? And on the other side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So also 6 rows. And now we have to find the corresponding spots for the straps on the front of the dress. So we will count rows based on what we have here on the back, because it's going to be the same on the front. I'll just keep this measuring tape for now. No need to measure this part anymore because I'll just be counting rows instead. Okay? And here on the front of the dress, we also have 24 rows, right? And right before that row where we are going to put the strap on, we should have 6 rows on the side. So 3, 4, 5, 6. And this is the row where we will attach one of the straps. Okay, so let's put a marker on that one. And on the other side, we also count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows. And the row after that is where we are going to place the other strap. Okay, so let's put a marker on that one as well. And to double check if we got everything right, again, we have 24 rows also here on the front of the dress. Okay, so let's count and find the center. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. This is the center. Okay, so 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 rows also on the other side. And from the center, we count to the right. 2, 4, 6. We have that marker on the 6th row. And from the center to the left, 2, 4, 6. We also have the marker on the 6th row. We put the markers on the front of the dress in advance because as we continue with the single crochet border, when we reach the spot for the strap, we will stop there and do the strap first, and then continue with the border and stop again on the next marker to make the second strap. Let's continue with our single crochet border. We still have 24 rows to go plus the straps. And this is the start of the front of the dress. So we chain 1 after those single crochets into that double crochet row, and this is a single crochet row, so we only make 1 single crochet into that stitch, and then we chain 1, and again into that double crochet row we make 2 single crochets, and then we chain 1. So just the same pattern for the border. We will continue doing this until we reach the next row with the stitch marker. That's where we are going to start the first strap. Okay, so I'll see you there. After this chain, we are here at this row with the marker, okay, and we are going to start the strap there. Okay, we can now remove the stitch marker, and first we make a single crochet on top of that row. Okay, and we will make a long chain for the strap. The length of the strap is based on your own measurement. For this dress, I need a length of 30 centimeters for the strap. I think I also showed you how I got the measurement in the beginning of the video. So I will continue making more chains until I reach the length of 30 centimeters, and I'll meet you back here after that. And I'm done with the chains. I actually needed to make 50 chains to reach 30 centimeters. And now we are going to attach this chain right here to that spot there on the back of the dress where we have the stitch marker. That is where we are going to attach the strap. So let's remove that marker, and then we will make a slip stitch into that single crochet right there. Okay, so slip stitch, and remember not to get your chain twisted. So there's our slip stitch, and next we will make a slip stitch into that next stitch right there, into that next single crochet. Okay, so slip stitch, and we just joined this foundation chain to the back of the dress to form the strap. And for us to be able to go back to the beginning of the strap on the front of the dress, we will make 1 single crochet into each of these chains. Okay, so 1 single crochet into each of these stitches until we are back to the start of this foundation chain. Okay, so let's continue working on these single crochets along the strap, and I'll see you when we're back to this part. So just 2 stitches left on this foundation chain for the strap. So single crochet and single crochet, and now we are here on this single crochet on top of that row, and we are just going to make a slip stitch into that stitch, into that single crochet. Okay, so we chain 1 after that, and now this is a part of our border. Okay, so we will continue with the pattern for the border. Okay, so we will make 2 single crochets into that double crochet row, chain 1, and then 1 single crochet into this single crochet row, and then we chain 1 again, and into this next row we make 2 single crochets, and then we chain 1. Okay, so same pattern for the border, of course. So we will continue doing this border until we reach this row right here where we have the stitch marker. That is where the strap will go. Okay, so let's continue with the border until we reach that part, and I'll see you there. And now I'm here on this row where we have the stitch marker on. So let's just remove that stitch marker, and then we will make a single crochet. So just 1 single crochet first into that row. Okay, and then we will start with the strap. So chain 50 for me. Remember, I need 50 chains to reach 30 centimeters, so that's what I'm going to do next. So I'll keep working on my foundation chain first, and I'll be back here after that to continue working on the strap. First, let me show you what we've done so far. So this is the strap that we just finished. Then we continued with the single crochet border along the top of the rows until we reach this spot for the second strap. So let's continue and I'll see you in a bit. So I'm done with the 50 chains, and now we are ready to connect this strap to this stitch where we have the marker at the back of the dress. Okay, so we have to make sure that our chain is not twisted. Okay, so let's remove this marker. And then we will make a slip stitch into this stitch right here, which is the chain between these two rows. So slip stitch into that one. Okay. And this chain for the strap is now attached to the back of the dress. Okay, and then we will make another slip stitch into that next stitch, which is that single crochet on top of that row right there. Okay, so slip stitch into that stitch. Okay, and now we will do the same thing that we did with the other strap. Okay, so one single crochet into each of these chains. Okay, so one single crochet into each of these stitches until we are back to the front of the dress where we started this strap. Okay, so let's keep working on that and I'll see you when we get to that part. And we are back here where we started the strap with only 2 stitches left on the foundation chain. So we are just going to make one single crochet into each of these remaining stitches. And after that, we're just going to continue with the pattern for the border. So into this double crochet row, we need to make 2 single crochets, right? And we already made one earlier, so let's make another one. Okay, so this is our second single crochet into that double crochet row. And then we chain 1. And into this single crochet row, we make 1 single crochet. And then we chain 1 again, and into that next row, which is a double crochet row, we make 2 single crochets. So basically just your regular pattern for this border. Okay, so let's continue doing this pattern until we reach the start of this single crochet and chain border right here, and I'll see you there. And we are back here where we made our standing single crochet. So this is the beginning of the border, okay? And after these 2 single crochets on top of this last double crochet row, we chained 1, and we are going to make a slip stitch into this standing single crochet to close the row. Okay? And we are done with this row. Up next, we will add another row to this border, just a single crochet row, okay? So single crochets all the way around. Okay, so we chain 1 and we make a single crochet into that same stitch where we did the slip stitch. And then a single crochet into that chain space, okay? So around that chain, and then single crochet into each of these 2 single crochets, and again we have a chain space here, so single crochet. So basically just 1 single crochet into each stitch around, except for the part where we have the straps, and I will also show you what to do there, of course. Take note that we started this second row of single crochet border on the back of the dress again, so this is on the back of the dress. Okay, so single crochet into each stitch. Okay, so single crochet into that chain space, and here is one of the straps, so we will just slip stitch into that single crochet on top of that row right there. So slip stitch, and then we will let go of our working yarn. so we can move it to the other side. And then we will slip stitch into that next stitch right there, which I think is already the chain, but that's okay. We slip stitch into that. Okay, so we have 2 slip stitches on that part where we have the strap. We did that to cross that strap part, okay, to get to the other side. And we are going to make a single crochet around that chain. So single crochet, and now we will continue with the pattern for our single crochet row. Okay, so just 1 single crochet into each stitch around. So 1 single crochet into each stitch until we reach this part right here where we have the next strap. Okay, let's continue and I'll meet you there. We are now here on the next strap, and we are going to do the same thing that we did earlier with the other strap. Again, this is on the back of the dress, okay? When we reach the front of the dress, we are going to do something different there. Let's continue. Single crochet around that chain, and into that single crochet on top of that row, we make a slip stitch, and a slip stitch again into that next stitch, which is also a single crochet. Okay, and we did that to cross the part where we have the strap. Okay, so we move our working yarn to the other side, and then we continue with our single crochet border. Okay, so single crochet around that chain, and then 1 single crochet into each of the next stitches. Okay, so we are going to do that again. It's just 1 single crochet into each stitch around until we reach that part on the front of the dress where we have the strap. So let's continue working and I'll see you there. So I already reached the next part where the strap is. This is now the front of the dress, okay? And here are the 2 straps. And we are going to be working on this first one now. But also you have other options for the straps aside from the one that I'm going to do. So if you're happy with the straps right now, how they look like, or how thick or wide they are, you may skip the next part. You may just do this instead, okay? Let me show you again. You may do what we did earlier with the straps on the back of the dress. Just slip stitches on this part where we have the strap, and then continue with the single crochet row border, and just do the same thing on the second strap as well. Okay, so that's one option. That is if you're happy with the straps as they are right now. And another option is when you want the straps much wider than spaghetti straps. You may just add another row of single crochets along the straps. So 1 single crochet row along this side of the strap here. And when you want it even wider, you may add another single crochet row on the other side when you go back around, which I will show you later, of course. I will show you how to work on both sides of the strap, but I'm actually not doing a single crochet row, just slip stitches instead. I'm just showing you another option if you want the straps much wider than they are right now. So like I've mentioned, I'm just doing slip stitches instead. I just want the straps thicker and the connections on the back and front of the dress more secure. So let's do that now. I will make a slip stitch into each stitch along. So a slip stitch into each of these chains. Remember, these are the chains we did for the strap. So just a slip stitch into each of these chains until we reach the back of the dress. So again, if you want wider straps, you may do a single crochet row instead. So 1 single crochet into each of these chains. So let's continue and I'll meet you when we are on the other end of the strap. We're almost done with our slip stitches on one side of the strap. So we started here on the front of the dress, and we're now here, which is the back of the dress, with only a few stitches left for this row of slip stitches. Okay, so let's continue. Again, it's just 1 slip stitch into each of these chains. Okay, this is the last one, and again this is right here is the front of the dress. Okay, and we are doing the connection of the strap to the back of the dress now. And to do that, we will just slip stitch there into that stitch right there. Okay, so we are not strict here as long as it doesn't look bad. We just need to make sure that we make another connection. So we slip stitch into a stitch on that top part of the dress on the back. And now we have to cross to the other side. Okay, so we just make another slip stitch, so maybe into this stitch here. Again, it's not really a big deal where we do it as long as we get to the other side. Okay, and I will make another slip stitch somewhere here, so let's do that into this stitch right here. Okay, so slip stitch. Okay, I think that's okay. We just need to tighten this stitch a little. Okay, so let me pull the yarn. Okay, right there, and then we will do the same thing on this side. Okay, so just one slip stitch into each of these stitches. If you want to do a row of single crochets instead, that's fine as well. That's another option for you if you want your straps wider. So let's keep working on this row. So again, for me, it's just one slip stitch into each of these stitches. So we will continue doing that until we reach the end of this row, when we are back to the front of the dress right here. Okay, so I'll see you in a bit when we get to this part. I'm back and almost done with the first strap. Here is the back of the dress and this is the front. So let's continue working and finish this one. Okay, so only a few stitches left, so just one slip stitch into each of these stitches. Okay, so there, and this is the last stitch on the strap, so slip stitch into that one. Okay, and we are done with the strap, and now we continue with our single crochet border. Okay, so single crochet around that chain and single crochet into that next one. Okay, so again, one single crochet into each stitch around. Okay, so single crochet into this one as well, and then single crochet around that chain. So we will continue doing this pattern again, just one single crochet into each stitch around until we reach the part where we have the second strap. Okay, so let's continue working and I'll see you there. So right here is the second strap. Okay, so again, this is the front of the dress, right? And here are the two straps. We are done with the first one and now we will be working on this second strap. Okay, so let's continue. Just a few stitches left on this single crochet border. So single crochet into that stitch right there. Okay, and now we are on the strap. So I will just be doing the same thing we did with the first one. Just slip stitches along this side of the strap. Okay, so slip stitch into each of these stitches until we reach the other end of the strap. Okay, so like this. So again, up close, these are the chains that we did earlier. Okay, our foundation chain, and then we did single crochets into those chains, right? So those single crochets, and into that same foundation chain we are just doing slip stitches. And again, if you did a single crochet row on your first strap, you may continue with that. So let's keep working on this strap until we reach the other end, which is on the back of the dress, and I'll meet you there. We are now here at the other end of the strap. So this is the back of the dress and this is the front. Alright, so let's continue. So let's finish this side. So slip stitch into each of these stitches, and we have reached this single crochet border. We make a slip stitch into that single crochet right there. So we are making a connection again to the back of the dress. And now we move our working yarn to the other side. And to get to the other side of the strap, we slip stitch, okay, into that stitch right there. Okay, and then we will make another slip stitch into that next stitch. Okay, so let's tighten that stitch a little. And now that we are here on the other side, we will just continue with our row of slip stitches. So again, just one slip stitch into each of these stitches until we reach this part right here. And again, if you are doing a single crochet row, you may continue with that if you want your straps wider. And I'll just continue with slip stitches along this side of the strap. Okay, so slip stitch into each of these single crochets. Remember, these are the single crochets that we did on our foundation chain. Okay, so let's continue working on this side of the strap, and I'll see you when we get to the front of the dress where we started the strap. We are back here at the beginning of the strap. Again, this is the front of the dress. Okay, and here are the two straps. We are actually almost done with the dress finally. Just a few stitches to go. So let's continue. Slip stitch into each of these stitches. And we are done with the strap. And we will just continue with this second row of our border. Okay, so single crochet into that single crochet from the previous row, and single crochet around that chain, and single crochet into that single crochet as well. So again, same pattern, just one single crochet into each stitch around, and we will continue doing that until we reach the end of this row, and I'll see you there. And we are almost at the end of the row, just a few stitches left. So a single crochet here, and this is the last stitch right there, so single crochet around that chain. Okay, and we are just going to make a slip stitch into that first single crochet of the row right there. So slip stitch into that stitch. Okay, and we are done. So we are just going to pull the yarn and cut it, leaving a tail long enough for weaving in later. We just have to weave in the tails and the dress is done. Actually, there are only two tails to weave in, just the beginning and end tail for the border and straps that we did. I'll just do that off camera later, okay? And let's check out our finished project. I just couldn't show the whole dress right now because it doesn't fit in the camera view. But here is the top of the dress with the two straps right there. Okay, and here is the body of the dress right there. And now we move on to the bottom. Okay, so here we have the fringe, and of course you may add more. If you find the fringe a little sparse, you may add more of these. Okay, so let me show you how. We will add this here. We will attach it to the bottom of the row. So fold the yarn like this. Let's use this as a guide. Length should be a bit longer than the existing fringe. Cut the yarn. We can just trim later if necessary. So let's get our hook, right? So insert hook here. Okay, pick up the folded loop like that. Grab both strands and pull through the loop. I'll just make it a bit tighter and move it a little to the center of the row. Okay, and that's how we add more of these. If I want to continue adding more, I'll make the colors alternating. Okay, so red here, off-white here, and then red. Okay, so just like that. Again, it's just another option, but if you're happy with the fringe as it is right now, no need to add more. Okay, and this is the end of our tutorial. Once again, this is the JELENA beach cover-up dress. I enjoyed doing this interlocking weave pattern for this dress, and I hope you did too. If you have any questions, suggestions, or clarifications, please feel free to leave a comment down below and I'll do my best to respond. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and click on that bell button so you will be notified whenever I upload a new video. See you soon. Bye!
Like if you like this video, subscribe if you love it, share if you care. Thank you for watching. Bye!